Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet Christy Honeycutt. She's an author, speaker, coach. She is going to be talking about work-life balance because you can burn the candle at both ends and in the middle, and she did just that. Now she helps people get unstuck. Her journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I think millions of Americans are guilty of this. We're burning the candle at both ends and in the middle. We're wired, we're tired, and sometimes your body just rejects it and says, I can't do this anymore. Christy Honeycutt knows that very well because she had everything that the world would tell you is success, working in corporate America, and her body started failing her. Christy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I like what you said. What did you say? Tired and wired. Wired and tired.
Wired and tired.
That's so great. Wired and tired. Yes, I found myself as guilty of the hustle porn. Work harder, harder, longer, and you'll get there. And as a single mom, I was very focused to do that. But it did take a toll. The body keeps the score, and it did take a toll. I had alopecia, I've survived cancer, I've had so many different things that have attacked my body. But when I really realized and got clear with myself during COVID, slowing down a little bit, what's important to me and why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way in my stomach when I'm approaching certain people or projects and things? And that's kind of my mission.
And you finally did something that is very bold. You went out on your own, and that had to be tough.
It's so scary. And I have a podcast, Inside the C-Suite, where I interview C-Suite leaders, and it's inspiring because no matter how big they are and how many organizations they run, people they're responsible for, they tell me the same thing. It's lonely at the top. I don't know who to trust. I don't know what to do about AI. Everybody has an opinion. And so we all experience those same hurts and those questions and imposter syndrome. Everybody has it, right? Yes. And so kind of learning that, I just took the leap. I had a lot of people ask me, you've coached your entire career. You've built coaching programs. You've led transformations globally. Why don't you do this? I had a CEO pull me aside and said, why don't you start a coaching practice? And I said, okay. And I did. And so then I just started taking on clients and stepped away. And I love it because I get to hold sacred space and practice level 3 listening, which is not listening to respond, but listening to hold space for the human experience. And we all need that.
Yes. And, being a single mom, you're trying to do everything and please everyone. And often we put our oxygen mask on last instead of first. We're going to pull up your website because you also do a lot of coaching. You were telling me a story right before the broadcast about a founder and CEO that you helped.
This is one of my favorite stories. So founder and CEO, we were working, what I love most is when leaders are vulnerable and they understand that they don't have all the answers, right? And they want to seek somebody out just for a mirror reflection, maybe their background. This particular client came to me and just pricing structure was really wonky, was positioning themselves a little bit lower than how they actually were being perceived. And so I worked with them and said, okay, let's take a look at what you're offering. What do you think your value is? What's draining you? Where's your purpose? Like, where do you light up? Let's keep you focused in the areas you light up. And it was amazing. So when that happened and he started taking those little steps to move forward, he closed 2 deals within 7 days of his first coaching session. And it's that kind of thing that makes me happy because it's good people, vulnerable leaders that want to make a difference for our community. And to be able to hold space for them and help them see what they already know, but they just don't have the calmness or the ability to sit
Yes.
but they've invested in themselves to have somebody help them with that. And then when they reach that goal, I want my clients to win just as bad as they do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That has to be so rewarding.
It's amazing. I love it.
All right. You wrote a best-selling book a couple years ago. We're going to put this on the screen so people can see this, The Inner Work of Leading in a Broken System. Okay.
Well, I've been working on it for a couple of years, but this is actually getting released November 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a very long passion of mine. So I'm a former employee of some really great consultancy firms, IBM and Korn Ferry. I've worked with some of the best leaders and best organizations in the world, but I've also had an opportunity to see where things might not be great for the people.
Yes.
And various different organizations that we've worked with, kind of helping them uncover their problems and how to elevate. So everybody wants to talk about, how do I keep my employees happy? How do I keep retention? And there's pockets that show up that when they're not doing well, like, look, if people are quitting and everybody's quitting from the engineering department, I got news for you. It's not the engineers, it's the leadership in the department. Something's happening. If people aren't taking vacation, something's happening. If people are taking a lot of sick days, something's happening. So really this book was kind of a wake-up call, a collective wake-up call for the human, but for the organization as well. We have to start with ourselves. We cannot be impactful leaders in our family, our community, our organization, unless we have agency over ourselves. We can regulate our emotions, we can have clear conversations and hold space. That's step one. Before any organizational development, that's step one, is yourself. And so just seeing how many times leaders fell down, and me personally, as a new leader many eons ago, I don't age myself, but I knew what I wanted to be and I knew what I didn't want to be. And I failed miserably in between. And so I want to help leaders know that it doesn't have to look like it did for your parents. It can look different. In fact, we are in the new workforce. It does look different, and it is going to be different moving forward. And the number one thing that we can bring to our community and to ourselves and our organizations is humanity, because with AI, everything's speeding up. Our attention span,
Yes.
come on, nobody reads a book anymore. It's basically a business card. But with that attention span, the greatest thing that we can do for each other is hold space for each other and be radically human. And that's what the book's about.
All right. What's another takeaway from the book?
Another takeaway from the book is, I got signed for this one chapter. I hope I don't offend your listeners, but it was called Don't Be a Dick.
Okay.
And what that is we all have shadows, and we all have seen and unseen things that happen at work. At work, at home, wherever, right? But we carry that shadow around with us. I happen to call that Dick. He's my friend, he sits on my shoulder. I tell him to shut up all the time. So what I do is I help people name that thing, that corporate wound. What are they carrying? We've had so many people that have been laid off, their egos were hurt, nothing to do with them. In reality, no, it was probably just time for them to go. So really what the corporate wound does, it helps you identify where you are and maybe what you're carrying with you that's preventing you from your purpose and fulfilling that razzle dazzle in everything you do. Like you obviously love what you do.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. You also have a very popular podcast. It's called Inside the C-Suite. We're going to put some video up on the screen. Tell us about the kinds of guests that you like to attract.
I like to attract guests that aren't dicks. I really like to elevate and uplift leaders that most people don't have access to. I am fortunate that I have access to these individuals, and I love to bring their stories to light and basically let people see that leader is not a white ivory tower.
Right.
Regardless of the size of the organization, there are really strong leaders that care about their people, and I want to bring those stories to light. I want to know, how are they doing things differently? How are they leading? How are they keeping their families strong? How are they keeping themselves strong?
Yes.
And those are the stories that we have. And there's been some really amazing stories. I've had to dub some things out. I had a CEO accidentally tell me she sold her company on the show. So I have a safety thing like, hey, if you say something you didn't mean to do, just go like this and I'll write it down. But they get comfortable. And the biggest thing for me that just lights me up my purpose is I have yet to have a single C-suite person tell me, and I'm going to tell you this too, is thank you for holding space for me because you helped me realize things I didn't realize. And no one's talked to me like that. I always have to be the person that's taking care of everything. So that holding space and helping them get clarity and like share their story it feels so good.
And I've watched several of your podcasts. You're a brilliant interviewer, and one of the reasons I think you're such a brilliant interviewer is you're very interested. It's not about you performing or doing a soliloquy. It's really It's all about the guest.
I think it's supposed to be that way.
It is supposed to be that way. It is supposed to be that way.
I know it's not always that way for everybody. And I've been on shows too that they told me, they go, oh, we'll take that out, or we'll do this, that, the other. And I go back and look at it and they didn't do any of it. So for me, but that goes back to integrity, right? And holding space for another human is, I want to know your story.
Yes.
I want to share your wins. I want to share your failures too, because we all learn together, and no one has all the answers.
And we see so many young people these days. Let's talk about Gen Z.
Oh, Alpha, yeah.
Because they get promoted very quickly, and suddenly you have a 23-year-old leading a team of baby boomers, and they probably have imposter syndrome, and their team beneath them are like, what am I going to learn from this 23-year-old? So talk about, like, what are some of the characteristics of a great leader?
So what you just, I'll take you back 2 seconds. What you just talked about was the honeycomb of diversity. I don't own that phrase. There's a beautiful Dallas native named Gail Obaski who created this. And I'm a Native American, and I've often had to act a little bit as a chameleon. You know, there was a meeting I was in where I heard the following phrases from C-suite leaders that I worked for. You're off the reservation. We need to have a powwow, and there's too many Indians and not enough chiefs. Now on the third one, or too many chiefs, not enough Indians, that one. And on the third one, I said, I don't believe that you meant this in disrespect. I do have 3 brothers, so I have tough skin. However, I would like to highlight that I've heard the following 3 phrases today, and they're incredibly offensive. And so it's just kind of understanding that diversity pool, right? And I've got a B tattoo, but the honeycomb of diversity, it's so brilliant when you think about our backgrounds and how they're made up, from socioeconomic to religion to you name it.
Yes.
And so, again, people come with seen and unseen things that you say. So let's just be human and meet people with our energy. Let's be open. And that's part of it. But what I'm seeing in great leaders, and I have led a multi-generational team. I had somebody that was 70 reporting to me and somebody that was 20 reporting to me. And they are very vast in how they think and how they process and how they want things seen. Strong leaders hold space for other people's experiences. That is the number one thing. If you're able to hold space, and it doesn't mean that, and a lot of people can't, because when that happens, their own insecurities come up, their own storyline comes up. Do I really matter if I'm holding space for you? Yes, you do, and they do too. So it's just letting all that fall away. And some of the best ways that you can get over it is breaking bread with each other and sharing culture. And that's one thing that Gail Obaski, who reported to me, she was older than me, she taught me a lot. And I like to think I taught her a lot. But each demographic has a unique piece of the honeycomb, and that's what makes it special.
Well, you talked about being vulnerable, and I think that's a very attractive characteristic of a great boss, is somebody who can be human. Talk a little bit about being vulnerable as a boss, because some people would see that as a misstep, but it's really a strength, isn't it?
It's a huge strength, because the people following you already know you don't have all the answers. They already know, because they see it. And your culture is not built by your marketing team or what you said that day or put on a whiteboard. It's built by what your employees say about you after work. And they are saying it, and they are talking, and there is social, and so it's very damning. But it's I lost my train of thought.
You're fine. We'll just pick up a thread. But, I think a lot of Gen Zs, they're like, okay, I'm 23 years old, so I've got to pretend to be this kind of boss, or, they're adapting a style that maybe they saw in a movie one time. So,
my boys are 32, let's see, how old are they? Just had a birthday, 32 and 34. And one is a university director. And I'm Gallup Clifton Strength certified. My number one strength is strategy. My number 34th, my least greatest strength, is context. My son, number one strength is context.
Wow.
His number 34 is strategy. So when I went through and learned all of these things, and I did a coaching session with him to practice, and I said, honey, I have to apologize to you, because I had no idea. I've been talking to you in the wrong way your entire life. I was, do it because I said so. I'm your mom. Because I had the strategy. You just needed to execute it. That's an example of a bad boss.
Yes.
And I did that to my child. So leadership, again, it's across everything we do. We are the CEO of us.
Yes.
And it's everything we do. But I think a lot of it is understanding each person's makeup. And a person's makeup, you've got a grandchild, as early as 10 years old, you can test them. And your strengths never change. The only thing that changes your strengths if you have like a major war, you go through war and you lose your limbs. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could happen, but it'd have to be major for it to change. So the strengths you have at 10 are the strengths you have at 50.
Sure.
So can you imagine learning your strengths at 10? Wow. And then going, this is where I rock. This is where I feel good.
Yes.
And you focus there instead of, I need to do all these things. So growing up, I went to native school. I didn't fit in. Blonde hair, blue eyes were the thing. I didn't fit in. It was super dark. And there was just like all of these things to that. And when you stop, again, I'm losing my train of thought. This happens to me a lot. But I grew up being different and not knowing my strengths. So if I'd known my strengths, I might not have had to be a chameleon so much, which, by the way, is one of my strengths. But I would have been able to go, this is where I'm strong, and this is where I'm passionate, and this is what I want to do.
Sure.
And so when people can find that, whether it's at 10 or 50, and you understand your team's strengths, then you can now communicate with them a little bit differently because their motivations are very intrinsic to them.
Sure.
Not the organization.
So, and you know Clifton's strengths. So if you're talking to an engineer versus talking to a visionary or, you know, the entrepreneurial spirit, you have to have a different conversation, don't you?
Oh, I have a partner I work with, and she is number one communication. So since I know that she's communication, I'm strategy, and she's also activation, right? So communication, activation. So I can say, oh, I have an idea. And now suddenly she's on me going, oh, it needs to be done this way because she wants it done.
Right.
So in the workplace, if we didn't understand each other's strengths, that would feel very domineering. So, and that's not her heart at all, right? It's just like, she's like, that's a great idea, let's go. But someone else might say, well, it was my idea, but now they're telling me how to do it because they're operating in their strength. But if you don't understand the two and tie them together,
so powerful.
We just start circling the drain.
All right, we have about 2 minutes left, so I want you to look into the camera on the left and talk to that CEO boss might need to bring you in to coach their C-suite or coach themselves.
Dear CEO, your leaders are failing and you don't know it. You hired someone doing a really good impression of a leader. We all dress for the job. People get the job because they're qualified, but it doesn't mean that they can keep the job. So if you find that people are taking a lot of sick time, that you're having a lot of attrition, or that you're having some infighting, you guys can't get clarity, I am your girl. Give me a call.
I love it. Christy Honeycutt, thanks for coming on the show. We're going to end with her website, which is christyhoneycutt.com. Thank you so much for sharing your heart.
Thank you.
That's
It's such an honor.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.